So I just wanted to take this time while I'm on my stroll to respond to some questions that I've been getting a lot of on Facebook from a lot of writers who've been working hard to get their book out. Also, I know it's a struggle, man. It's not easy, especially when you have a 9 to 5, you live with someone, you have a family, you have friends. You know your time. You don't know how to really delegate the time to yourself. But that's pretty much the most prominent question that I've received. How did you navigate through it? How did you get to this? How did you get from the beginning to the end? And basically, uh, I had to tell myself how much I wanted this. You know what I mean? It couldn't be half-assed. If it was something that I wanted to do for the rest of my life, if this is what I wanted to make a living off of, doing something that you love, then you have to really be dedicated and you have to make sacrifices. And I think one of the first things that I learned was from Kurt Vonnegut, who said, in order to create a world of your own, you have to leave the world behind, meaning the world that you live in. You have to leave it behind. And I took that in such a literal sense that I disappeared from the face of this planet for many years. A lot of people could never find me. Oh, they called me antisocial. They called me this. They called me that. And these are the moments where you feel like you want to break, where you're gonna be like, oh, my friends are pressuring me to do this. My family is pressuring me to do this. Maybe I should stop writing and focus more on, being present with people. But for me, it wasn't a matter of not, loving these people that, wanted me around. It was about me getting to a certain point in my life where I needed to make a change. And if everyone around me is happy where they are in life, that's great. I wasn't. So I needed to make a change, and it was going to be a very long road. So for that, I dedicated hours. The morning when I woke up, when I got to work, on my lunch break, I would write. When I got home, I would write. Before I would go to bed, I would write. On the weekends, I would write. I just had a schedule, and I trained myself to be obsessed with what you're doing, because if you don't like what you're doing, you're not going to put the hours into it. So I believed in my story. I believed in the characters. I believed in the universe that I was creating. So I said, I'm going to put in the time for it. And I did. The first draft I dropped was 2016. And this was 4 years after trying to do a sci-fi pilot. That was my first attempt at writing. I'd never written anything before, and I had this idea that was really inspired by 12 Monkeys. I wanted to do like 12 Monkeys, but on like in like Lost format, the television show Lost. And we had a great crew, fantastic crew who put it together. Gave a lot of actors their first break here in Montreal. We had big plans. We wanted to do a lot of things here in Montreal. We wanted to do a lot of things for the city, in terms of having this show filmed here. A lot of production companies that are based here in the city, that heard the concept, they were so excited about it because it was called Cause and Effect. And the original concept that I had pitched before it was shot, because once it was shot, it was totally changed and everything. I'm not blaming anyone anymore. I take full responsibility for not having the experience and the confidence in myself to not allow these changes to happen. But even still, a lot of people were excited. Everyone was just like, this is unheard of what we're about to do. Like, the concept is crazy and this will be so great. But unfortunately, it fell through. And I kept moving on and started writing short stories, uh, revolving around the world of the House of Infinite Doors. I just wanted a break from the characters that I had worked on for so many years for the television show. So I started to branch out, do write stories that took place in different periods of time to get a different feel. Until I was ready in 2016 to finally put out my first draft. My first draft got ripped to shreds by a fantastic editor by the name of Fran Leibowitz. Said something to me that, whoa, that lit a match under me. She said that I have the imagination, but I don't have structure. And this is the part where a lot of first time writers fall off. And it's because you work so hard to finally finish your book, you send it to someone to read, and then the first thing they tell you is that it's a piece of crap and that it's not good, right? So you're kind of like, your heart's kind of ripped out your chest, and a lot of people are like, well, I put so much time and energy into this first one. Where am I going to find this time and energy to do it again? My friends, I got to hang out with my friends. I got to play hockey. I got to play basketball. My wife wants me to sit down and watch Friends. So you find yourself in a between a rock and a hard place, so to speak. I'm walking in circles here. So it's like I I had to take what she said and keep that in mind, that I'm gonna have that urge to say fuck it. I'm gonna have that urge to be like, oh, let me put this project on the side. Let me come back to it afterwards. And I didn't want that because I just kept thinking of what my life is gonna be like in the future if I don't chase this dream, if I don't believe in myself, and if I don't push myself. So instead of quitting, I stopped, answered a lot of the questions. Well, I thought I was answering the questions that she was asking. That a lot of the changes, which one of the first ones was that I had way too many characters in the story. I had like 18 characters, and there was, I basically, I was pulling a David Lynch, and not a good David Lynch either. I just said, I'm doing anything. I don't care what people think. I'm just going to go crazy with whatever comes to my imagination. I'm writing it down. And it was a good way to start because I saw how far I could push myself in terms of creativity. But like Fran had told me, I needed structure. So over the years, I'd read books, I'd watch videos, I'd listen to podcasts, and I worked with another editor that she recommended, who's been working with me from then till now, Sadie Rittman. Fantastic young lady, brilliant, great to work with. And it was awesome to work with her because I'm older, so there's a lot of things that I bring from the past that she's unaware of, and that I have to kind of. It's cool that I have to now trust my own instinct. And how fitting, I'm around the crows. If you read the book, if you see the cover of the book, you understand everything with the birds and the trees and everything. But yeah, so working with her, she tore me a new one every time. And that's another thing too. You have to work with an editor. And in order to do so, you have to have tough skin, because you have to learn to take criticism. And then when you get to a point where you're more confident in your writing, then you could determine between what you want to keep and what the editor tells you to change and keep and whatnot. You'll be able to gauge a little bit better, but that comes with time and experience. So 2 or 3 drafts working with Sadie, I only had 1 year where I didn't write, and but I would always do little outlines of character changes and stuff that I wanted to improve in the story from the last draft. I had lost my dog of 12 years at that point, May 16th, 2019. I'll never forget that day. And later on that year, found out that my mother was sick, and then we had horrible neighbors move above us with wild, rambunctious children that kept running. You live in an apartment, you know what I'm talking about, that would just be running around all day long, never leaving the house. So my inspiration was dead. It was just absent for so long. And so when I finally was in a good place, and I felt the creativity come back to me, which was late 2022. The story just came together and started to flow together beautifully. And I made some big changes. I found who is going to be my focus as a great main character, because sometimes your protagonist isn't the best character in your book, but I wanted someone that the people would really root for. And uh, I made a decision to have a character that was inspired by my father. And once I drew from my personal experience, it, the story took on a whole different life. It became heavier in substance. It was anchored in something that I think a lot of people are going to be able to relate to. For everyone, the main thing is inspiration and sticking to your guns, and do not give up as long as you really believe in your product. Hopefully these words find you and help you out. Shout out to everyone. The House of Infinite Doors is available paperback and ebook on Amazon. Peace.